This is the Cafe Racer Podcast, episode 78 for August 2015. I'm Steven.
I'm Crash.
There's
8 episodes in, and we still don't know how to intro.
There's never a time, yeah. So we figured out a new way to do the intro, which was basically running the intro music internally on the computer, which we didn't ever think would work, and we tried it and it didn't work. And playing with QuickTime, but I tested it right before we went on air and it worked great, but I didn't rewind the tape. So when I hit play again, it started from where we tested it. And
you have our intro music on a tape? Maybe that's the problem.
What's wrong with that? There's a big reel-to-reel deck back here behind me. So what? Right?
I was going to make a reel-to-reel joke, so good. So how's it going, man?
It's going good. I got the Stelvio back from the dealership yesterday, and they did absolutely nothing to it for a week, and they did nothing. That was an adventure. Yesterday, the entire day, well, let's say 6 hours of the day, was going to pick up the Stelvio. Oh. So the dealer is in Miami on Brickell Avenue, which is like downtown Miami. And if you think about like a downtown metropolitan area, you got like big high rises and then little strip stores. This dealership's in a little strip store. There's no garage. There's no back door to the dealership. They literally put a ramp up this flight of stairs and roll bikes up this ramp to get them in the shop. The place is tiny, and it's a like a Piaggio basically dealer, but without the scooter. So it's MV Agusta, Aprilia, and Moto Guzzi in the place, and it's really, really small. So last Friday I dropped it off, took the trailer down there on the truck, which is a ton of money in gas. Dropped the bike off. There's nowhere to park a trailer there, so you literally have to go on a side street and kind of like block traffic and unload everything. There used to be a field next to the place, but now they fenced that all off because they're putting a high rise in there. Dropped it off, and I dropped it off for 3 reasons. The bike's getting ready to go out of warranty. The first reason was that since I've had the bike, it's leaked from the master cylinder for the clutch. There's 2 little weep holes there. When I first got it, it was leaking fluid out of there. I took it in and I said, look, this thing's leaking. They're like, oh, no big deal. It might have been overflowed from the factory. We cleaned it up. Well, now it's to the point where the paint's starting to bubble off that thing. And they keep telling me there's nothing wrong with it. The second thing was on the left side brackets for the side cases, there were 2 screws missing that hold the bracket to one of the points on the rear pegs. It's the stanchion where the rear peg is.
Yeah. They
couldn't have fallen out because you can't get 2 new screws back in without taking out the exhaust or taking apart that peg stanchion. So obviously they weren't put in from the factory. And the third thing was the bike still really feels like it's running hot. There's discoloration on the exhaust pipes where the junction for the crossover is. It's not, it doesn't sound like it's leaking or feel like it's leaking, but it's just not right. So I brought it back in and they called me and they're like, well, and the funny thing is the service guy's a different new service guy. The old service guy was really like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll get this covered. We'll take care of it. This guy calls me back and he goes, well, these bikes vibrate a lot, so the screws fell out. I said, no, they couldn't have fallen out. There's nowhere for them to go. There's an exhaust right behind them. And then he said that the brake or the master cylinder for the clutch is not covered under warranty because that's normal wear and tear. Paint, bubbling off of its normal wear and tear. And then he said, well, we'll take a look at the overheating problem. And he called me up on Thursday and said, there's nothing wrong with the bike. We put the screws in. We're going to charge you for that, for the hour of labor for that. And we checked everything. And he goes, even if the exhaust gaskets were bad again, those aren't covered under warranty. I said, well, they've been covered twice already under warranty, once by RPM in Houston and once by you guys. So I picked the bike up. Well, so picking the bike up was the adventure. I decided now when I dropped the bike off, I dropped my trailer off at my office, which is like halfway between the dealership and my home. The dealership's like a good hour and a half ride from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gonna like, now
isn't everything like? Isn't the entire world an hour and a half
geographical
ride from your house?
2 hours away? Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't this place a goddamn geographical oddity? 2 weeks from everywhere.
Yeah, no. So I get the bright idea, like, you know what? I'm gonna take Tri-Rail down there, which is the train, and not have to worry about driving the truck down. So I kind of mapped it out. Tri-Rail, it's 20 minutes from the house. So the wife drives me over, drops me off the Tri-Rail station at like noon. We kind of slept in, hung out, had coffee and breakfast. At noon, I get down. Then I decided I'm gonna take Uber because there's a Tri-Rail station that they call the Metro Rail transfer station, where you can take from Tri-Rail, you can take the local Metro Rail, which is like a people mover type thing. But I looked at it, there was 33 stops between the Metro Rail, and the closest station to the dealership. And then I'd have to get Uber from there. So I just said, I'm just going to go one station down, which they call Hialeah Market, and then take Uber from there. And actually, I was kind of like sweating the whole Uber thing in downtown Miami.
Have you used Uber before?
Denver. And actually, I used it.
Okay.
I used it where I work when I dropped my truck off at a dealership. But this experience was great. The guy's name, it shows up on the phone. It says Albert's coming. He's in a Acura TSX or whatever, TCX, and really super nice guy. And basically, the guy's like works for a general contracting firm doing estimates, and in between doing estimates, he picks up Uber rides.
Oh, nice. So,
yeah, it was kind of cool.
He's already driving around anyway.
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, I had an appointment earlier, then I got a break for a few hours. I got nothing to do. I just took somebody to Fort Lauderdale Airport. They were really nice. So he dropped me off over there, and then the ride home was just like driving in Miami is like it's like driving in Italy, where people don't even pay attention to lights. They can't stay in their lane. They're drifting over 2 or 3 lanes. They're either doing 40 or they're doing 100. It's just a nightmare. And the whole way home was like that. So finally, like halfway, I stopped to go see one of my sons at the fire station and like had a glass of water and something to eat, because I was like still kind of white knuckled from the ride. But the bike, it seemed to run okay. I'm keep vacillating with this overheating problem because you get on the ADV forum on the Moto Guzzi Thread Fest, and there's some guys on there that are really knowledgeable on these bikes, and they're all telling me it's a fueling issue. And some of them are pointing me in the direction of Todd at Guzzi Tech, and I talked to Todd, and for me to redo the bike with all the Guzzi Tech, like a reflash DCU and the 2 wideband O2 sensors, and everyone I've talked to that have done that has said the bike is a completely different animal when that's done. I'm probably looking at between $1,100 and $1,400 to do that. Yeah. I think the next step is going to be just a basic remap from one of the guys here in Jupiter that says they got one of the people he knows is a Moto Guzzi guy that's got a bunch of maps, and I'm going to try that and see what happens. And then, worst case scenario, I can always go back to the original map. But
yeah,
there doesn't appear to be anything wrong. Like there's no oil flow issues. There's nothing blocking the flow in the oil cooler. The oil cooler's not blocked up. Like I'm like you, I change oil on the regular intervals, and I'm getting ready to next oil change before I dump the oil. I'm going to ride it around and send a sample to Blackstone Labs. But
yeah,
it's just what they're all telling me. And they said they talked to the Piaggio rep. They're like, it's 95 degrees outside. It's just hot. But I keep going back to that morning I left the house at 5 a.m. in the dark, and 5 minutes after I left the house, the engine's hot as hell, where I can feel it on my left leg. So I don't know. It's perplexing. The bike doesn't seem to be running bad. We'll see. So that was my ride yesterday, and I'm gonna go for a ride after we're finished with the show today to go get a haircut.
Yeah. So the past few shows, I've been complaining that I haven't ridden.
Lamenting.
And I've actually been riding. Yeah, lamenting. I've been riding to work, which is good. Mm-hmm. It's so funny, like, getting out of the house on the bike definitely takes me longer than getting out of the house in the truck. Like taking the truck, I just throw on shorts and a shirt and flip flops, and I walk to the truck and I sleep on the way to work. Like not really, I don't really sleep, but like it's but I sit in traffic. And on the bike, I have to convince myself that, like, yes, I know it's going to take me an extra 5 minutes to get out the door, but I'm going to make that time up because I'm in California and I can lane split through all the traffic. And there's such a huge difference. Like, I get to work. I think I've said this before. I get to work in the truck and I'm just dragging. I get to work on the bike and I'm like awake and I'm refreshed and I'm ready to go. It's like a cup of coffee for some people in the morning. Coffee doesn't really ever do anything for me, but
what I think it is?
Does.
I think it's the amount of attention you have to put into riding, whereas you're kind of on point after that. Where like me in the truck, I kind of get lulled to sleep a little bit, especially if I'm listening to music or sometimes I'm not one of these like radio has to be on all the time kind of guys. A lot of times I'm quiet the whole ride in, and that really puts me to sleep. It was funny that lane splitting because on the way home yesterday when I was on the turnpike and it got bumpered, I'm like, screw this, man, and I just like got off on the side and went past 50 or 60 cars, ducked in, and then did it again and again and again just to keep moving.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
No, there's a push for it here in Florida, but I mean, like, even my wife has the attitude like, that's not fair. Why you should have to wait like everyone else? I'm like, you just don't get it.
Right. Yeah, that's like the whole argument. It's like it's not it at all. Like, if you let us lane split, traffic will not be as bad for you either.
Right. She's incised by it, like somebody's getting something that she can't have.
Right.
It's not that.
So to that end, the whole commuting thing, I've lost some weight since like the holiday time, and the motorcycle pants that I was wearing don't fit quite as well anymore. Like, they're kind of yeah, and like, I wanted to expand my options because I don't really want to buy another set of motorcycle pants. I was looking online, and I may end up getting something. Well, I'll be honest, I'll probably end up getting another pair of pants, but I'd like to be able to just wear jeans or whatever and feel okay about it. And I've heard Joanne Don, the gear chick, also on the Motorific podcast, talk about some of the armor options from companies like Force Field and whatnot. And so I decided to pick up a set of, they're called Force Field limb tubes. And here's one for you viewers out there.
They're made by Force Field, correct? The armor manufacturer.
Yes. And then it comes apart. So here's the pad that's inside of it. It's not the most flexible. Like, this is a material called Nitrex. It's like their proprietary thing, and they're not super flexible. And honestly, I haven't had a chance to ride with them yet, but I have put them on underneath a pair of pants, and they feel fine. They don't look ridiculously bulky.
Does Nitrex work like D3O or not? Or is it just a hard armor?
No, it's similar to D3O. It's not. I don't think it's as soft. It's definitely not as soft as the Dainese Pro Shape, which is literally just like silicone. And I was looking at, so Dainese sells a pair of knee guards that are made with their Pro Shape armor, and I thought about those, but they're a little more expensive, and I didn't know if it was really worth it. Now, Force Field is also they've got a newer type of armor that they call, where is it? I got it up right now. They call it, I don't know. Anyway, net armor, the Force Field net armor, which is more like a silicone armor and more flexible. So if you're looking for something a little more low profile, these are just regular Force Field limb tubes. There's a limb tube called the Graph limb tube, Force Field Graph limb tubes, that are a little more low profile, a little more flexible, but they're not out yet. They're on pre-order at like Revzilla or wherever. And frankly, I didn't want to wait till October. I'm impatient. I figured I'd heard so many good things about these. I was like, well, maybe the new ones are better, but these are probably going to suit my purposes just fine. And I really do think they will. So let's just
clarify the limb tubes, what because people are listening to this, that they're like kind of a sock with the bottom cut off, that it's almost like
it's a sleeve, like an elastic spandex sleeve that you slide on over your knee, and inside of it is a pocket containing a knee pad, like a motorcycle armor knee pad.
Are you sweaty and all on these things, or are they comfortable?
I'm sure that I'm going to sweat in them. I have I had a pair of like bicycle, like downhill bicycle racing knee pads.
I got you. Right.
Not quite downhill bicycle racing, like freestyle bicycle knee pads, like, you know, tricks and stuff like that. Like I had a pair of those knee pads for mountain biking, and they're almost the same, you know, style construction as far as like how the pad works. And yeah, you definitely sweat in them, but the material seems pretty breathable. It's got a more of a mesh panel in the back where it's, you know, goes around the back of your knee. And then the straps on the tubes, you know, itself are removable. So if you've got pants that will hold your knee pads where they need to be on their own, or if your thighs and calves are big enough that
you don't need,
you don't need the straps, you can just pull them off. And honestly, that's where I always felt the most sweating, was right at the straps where it's being pulled against your body.
So again, these things are designed for impact protection, and then they're going to have slide protection where if they stay in place. You still have to worry about the material of the pants you're wearing. I mean, not that that's going to have to be 100% of the time you're worried about it, but if you did go down on an area that didn't have this system there, you may wear through the material.
Sure.
So
and
some Diamond Guts,
what's up?
Your Dragon jeans that had Kevlar in them may help you a little bit, but this is going to replace that area where they don't have impact protection.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, I'm probably just going to wear regular pants, like a regular pair of jeans or whatever.
Don't let you hear you say that.
Yeah, I already commute in a pair of pants that certain, you know, gear people would disapprove of, considering the level of speed that my commute is at. Like Joanne wouldn't want to wear my riding pants on the freeway, and I do all the time.
Right. Well, it's just easy for me to put, you know, riding pants on over like a pair of shorts, and then put it, you know, 'cause a lot of times I'll go to work in the morning and work out first. So
sure,
I take a shower, work, put a uniform on. But yeah, I get it.
Right. And I've got a uniform that I keep at work. So, I mean, I want to find, Joanne actually recommended, because she and I were talking a lot recently. She recommended a whole new suit for me to replace my old Revit suit.
Mm-hmm.
And the pants that go along with that suit would be great for my commute. Like, they would be perfect. So once I sell my piano, which is a whole different story, if I can sell my piano for enough, I'm going to buy this Revit suit with the money.
Gotcha.
I've got an old upright piano that I'm trying to sell. But yeah, so I've actually got a couple random gear things. So I got these, you know, these tubes, and I might wear them tonight. I'm hopefully going for a brief ride tonight, so I'll get some time with them on and can report back there.
Mm-hmm.
But something that's not really gear related on the surface, but has become really gear related, is my life situation. Steve is known for a while, and a lot of our fellow podcasters have actually known for a while, because we all kind of talk to each other. But I'm getting a divorce, and I moved out of my house. In fact, you know, me and the ex moved out of the house, and my house is for rent and all sorts of stuff now. Because it was, you know, we own the house and whatnot, but that's really not germane to the conversation. But I am dating somebody, and she really, really likes to ride as well. And she didn't have any gear. So, you know, I had a spare helmet. She's been using that, and it turns out it didn't fit very well. It's a little too big. It's a medium, and she has a little tiny head, I guess. So we looked around and found her. We figured out that she was a size small, you know, not extra small. So anyway, figured out. And I don't know if you've seen the Shark Raw helmet, but I'm going to bring it up. I'll screen share with you. It's a 3/4 helmet, and let me figure out
the clip-on front like piece on it.
Yeah, it's
like the bell.
Yeah, it's like the Bell, only in my opinion, it doesn't look stupid.
Let us know you really think.
I can't. Okay, can you see my screen share now?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm gonna lock that in. so we can see it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So here it is. We were talking, and
yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I've been wanting one for a while, and it was funny because she and I were talking about it, and I said, "Well, hey, look, I've been riding with flip face helmets forever. Would you like a flip face helmet?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." Well, I told her, I was like, "Well, if we go to the store, like, you're gonna have to keep me from buying one of these." And I sent her a picture of it, and she goes, "What do you mean keep you from buying one? You need to get one." And so we went to the store. They ended up not having the color that either of us wanted. So I found them online, and I ordered two. So we're gonna have matching Shark Raw helmets. Like, we're gonna each have one of these.
What color did you get?
Green.
In green.
The green.
Yeah. White would look like a stormtrooper, but that's cool too.
I mean, I'd be totally cool with the white stormtrooper helmet. It's just that white also says like cop helmet to me. Like, I just
those are really
like,
cool looking. So the goggles kind of like come up over the top of the head then?
The goggles and the mask are attached to each other, and that whole thing lifts up.
See that? Okay, I gotcha.
So
it was almost like
you can take
mask, kind of.
What's that?
Like a paintball mask.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a paintball mask.
Yeah.
My only concern is I have a Senna 20S and an SMH10, and she and I use them to talk. My only concern is like how that's going to work with this helmet.
Well, the other option maybe. So I'm looking. Click on one of those, the white side profile picture. Yeah, the one next to it, the other one.
That one.
It may mount.
I'm sure you can mount it. It's just my issue is like wind noise and the microphone.
Man, listen to me. I was talking with mine with the visor up, the chin bar up, doing about 40, and they couldn't tell that I was driving on a
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sure that it'll mount, but yeah, I ordered two of them. My size, the size large, was on back order, so hers should be here today, and then mine will be here when it gets here. But I've got a helmet that fits. So
do the side pieces come off where the goggle can be replaced? If for some reason it should.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the goggle strap and everything can come off. You can also there's different lenses for the goggles, I think. There's a couple of other replacement parts that are available. But yeah, so I ordered two of those. Will be matchy.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I really like them. I've been like, I'm gonna find the screen share thing, get rid of it. I've been eyeballing that helmet like forever, like since I first saw it, and just hadn't pulled the trigger. But she's really encouraging of me riding.
Is she?
She really likes to ride. She's a great passenger.
She talking about wanting to learn how to ride on her own too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is. She definitely that's definitely something she wants to do.
That's cool.
It was funny. So the Ducati Scrambler, you and I both have talked about it a lot, and I really, really like it. And I was getting my truck serviced, my first service, and it's right across the street from a motorcycle dealership, and so it's a dealership I've been in before, and I like the place, nice place. So I walked in, and while they were working on my truck, I walked across the street, and I'm looking around, and I took a picture of the Scrambler and sent it to Jessica, and she's like, "Ooh, that's really pretty. You should get it." Like, not seriously, like you should get it right this second, but like, she really likes it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I was talking to her about it later. I was like, well, it's kind of not really that different from the Bonneville. Like, it doesn't really serve a different purpose. She goes, so what? She's like, so who cares?
Oh, boy. This could be dangerous.
I know, right? Like, that's what I was thinking. But another gear purchase. So that's, like I said, she doesn't have any gear. So one of the first things we did was drive up to the D store, the Dainese store up in Costa Mesa, and got her a jacket, a really nice looking jacket. And we looked at gloves, we looked at boots, some. this might not come as a shock. She really likes those boots that I got, the ones that I showed you guys last week, the like kind of hipster shoes.
Kinda
suede. Yeah.
Yeah.
They make those for women.
Yeah. And she wants them.
And she really wants them. And then I was at the same motorcycle dealership a little while ago that I was talking about a minute ago, and found her a pair of gloves. They're these just plain. They're the Alpinestars Spartan gloves. They're just plain textile. They've got a hard knuckle protector, and then like some padding in the fingers, and then a leather palm, and no like Power Ranger looks or anything. A nice short gauntlet glove.
Normal glove, yeah.
Yeah, they're really nice. I like them a lot. Well, I saw hers. I saw the ones that in the women's section, and I was like, I wonder if they make these for dudes. So I'm over there looking at the men's gloves, found like an extra large or something, and was like, well, that's not going to work. So I bought her these gloves, and then when I was there the other day, I found they had gotten more in, and so they had the large, my size, which I'm replacing these gloves with, these leather Alpinestars gloves, and I really like these gloves. They're really breathable. They're all perforated. And I don't think they look too Power Ranger-y either. But the only problem is, and I didn't realize that it wouldn't eventually work itself out. The right pinky, right on my knuckle, right, this like my first or second knuckle, the middle knuckle. Right there, something on the stitching on the inside of the gloves irritates my hand right there.
Yeah, when that's,
and if I,
ignore it either.
Right. Yeah. Like if it's, I bought a different pair of gloves in the middle of a long trip a couple years ago because I had been riding for a couple of days with these gloves on, and my hand was just killing me. And so I bought a pair of gloves that didn't fit because they were all I could find that was acceptable. That wasn't, a gauntlet all the way up to my elbow practically. And then was never really happy with them. And so when I found these ones for women, and then I found out that they made them for men, I went and bought them.
You know what I found with gauntlet style gloves? Because I used to wear the BMW gauntlet gloves, and then I had a pair of Olympias that I was wearing. But the BMWs, there was enough on the extended portion of the gauntlet Velcro that you could cinch it down pretty good, and I could get it into the sleeves of my Darien Aerostitch. But with any other jacket, they just kind of like bunched up. And unless you're wearing a sport bike jacket where the cuffs zip pretty tight around your wrists, the gauntlet gloves are kind of a pain. And the truth of the matter is I like having that feeling of having air conditioning with my sleeves open. Like I'll rarely Velcro shut the sleeves on the jacket I have now, just because I like them air moving there. So I've kind of moved more towards the shorter cuff glove and the Lee Parks Deer Tours that I have are nice for them. And then I have some Tourmaster gloves that I'm getting ready to replace soon, just because I've worn them so long, but they're ventilated, and I just kind of like the shorter gloves better. The gauntlets, like I said, they work great. Like I have one decent pair of gauntlet road racing gloves for like if I wear that Dainese jacket like on the track, but that's it.
Right. Yeah, I've got my only long gloves are winter gloves. So all my other gloves are short.
That one of the things Spencer talked about last episode on the Climb jacket that he was talking about, the Badlands, one of the biggest complaints about it was that gauntlet, the wrist gauntlet in the jacket, which is one of the reasons I've kind of shied away, not purchased the Scorpion yet, because a lot of guys that bought that Climb Badlands cut that thing out. Well, Climb went ahead and removed it now. And really the only purpose of that, our firefighting bunker gear is designed that way. But it's designed so that if you're working over your head and you're like doing overhaul or something, you don't want to get a hot ember or something dropping down into your sleeve. There's no really reason on a motorcycle jacket, honestly, to have it. And because if you have gloves and you cinch down the sleeves, you're not going to really get water in there. Those gauntlets, to me, just they impede airflow when it's hot.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that Climb took them out, and hopefully maybe Scorpion will make either a system where you can remove them and put them back in, or remove them. But for like an all-weather jacket or something that's 3-season, I think it makes it difficult when you have those gauntlet monkey paws or whatever you want to call them inside the jacket.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've got a like undershirt that has those. That's, I don't really know why it has them. It's handy because I'll stick my thumbs through the hole and it makes it easy to pull the sleeves down inside my jacket.
Right.
But then I just pull my thumb back out and stick my hands out. Like it doesn't provide any real added benefit.
It's the same as having a knit cuff in a jacket, a really tight knit cuff. It kind of have the same issue. Now, it's just, to me, again, like the nicest thing about the Darien was the way the vents were cut in the thing and the zippers. It was like wearing air conditioning. You know, Dariens are pretty, the material's really stiff. So when you have the sleeves open and the pit zips open and then the back vent open, man, it just gets so much airflow in that jacket. It was just that the one I had was a little bit too big for me. I bought it used and it was like a triple XL. I just kind of swam in it. And the funny thing is, when I had that on and like the waist cinched up, my wife said, "You look like a Mountie. You look like Dudley Do-Right in that thing." Like a 3/4 length, you know, it was long. And then the really funny part about it was the pants I had. I got the whole set off of ADV Rider from a guy, and it was just way too big for me. The pants were extra long, so they tended to bunch up at the thigh, and it looked like I was wearing, you know, Mountie joggers. Yeah. It was ridiculous looking, but they were really comfortable. You know, you and I talked about the possibility of me changing to something different, maybe Scorpion, but I'm just kind of waiting it out a little bit and see what comes up.Maybe there might be something released from Machna that Twisted Throttle carries, and I might even go in the direction of Machna. Kind of waiting for to see what comes out. So more gear?
The Revit stuff that I'm eyeballing, thanks to Joanne. I'll pull that up right now, actually, and then screen share it. Can you hear the TV going in the background, by the way?
Yeah, I was kind of enjoying it. Sounded like some sort of a musical thing happening there.
It's Pac-Man. I'm gonna ask him to turn it down real quick. Hold on.
All right. So while he mutes the mic and turns Pac-Man down, I was kind of like getting. I liked it. It sounded pretty good. One thing I wanted to bring up real quick, and Chris and I talked about this, was so last episode we were kind of chatting a little bit about a new gun purchase I made. And a couple people had sent me some emails saying, "Hey, let's see it. I want to see it on the air, on the video." And I think what I'm going to do is, instead of doing it on the show here and talking about it, I'll just record a quick little YouTube video. Don't want to do a gun review as per se, because that's not really what I do or what we do. And I'll make some recommendations for some guys that, you know, kind of do this on a regular basis on YouTube. But I think I'm going to do that on my own personal YouTube channel and kind of talk about the little Taurus that I got. But I'm going to put out some videos on our channel for the McNet towels and kind of show you those 3 different sizes that they come in.
Wait, this isn't a gun show?
You can make it a gun show. I mean, with that,
I think I'm
you're wearing, it's a gun show right now. Sun's out, guns.
Yeah. I live in San Diego. Give me a break.
Yeah, well, you know, it's
so something that the listeners may not know about me is that I am a relatively thin guy. I don't have a very big chest. I might have talked about it before. Like stuff that's made by European companies usually fits me better than like Scorpion or what's that?
Skinny would be a good description.
Yeah, I mean
jeans and stuff like that.
I do not wear skinny jeans, but yeah.
And
I've actually put on skinny jeans and they do not work. Like my thighs are too big. But I do have a smaller chest. Like definitely not the typical American shape. So like Olympia and guys like that don't generally make stuff that fits me. So Revit, Dainese, Alpine Stars, Italian and Belgian and whatnot companies, gear usually fits pretty well. And I was talking to Joanne originally about gear for Jess because she really wants to go on some longer trips with me. And right now she has a helmet and a jacket but no boots, no glove. I mean, no boots and no pants. And so, I want to get her some decent gear so that we can go somewhere, because I don't like the idea of her riding somewhere with me over any sort of distance that's, where she doesn't have adequate protection. And while we were talking, I was kind of complaining about my Revit 2-piece suit that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, and so she's like, well, if I remember correctly, you're pretty narrow, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, can I recommend a Revit 2-piece suit that will fit you perfectly and you'll love? I was like, yeah, sure. So it's called the Revit Vapor suit. They have a jacket, pants, and gloves. I may even get the gloves, because the gloves I have don't really satisfy me. I'll turn screen share back on real quick.
Yeah, I want to take a look at this.
Yeah, so here's the jacket. Pretty standard looking, but I guess it's cut really well for smaller guys, and it's got really good ventilation. And it's Gore-Tex. It's, how the Climb Gore-Tex, when you unzip the zippers, it unzips straight through to your skin, like to you.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like my Legacy, my Revit Legacy suit, the vents open up to the Gore-Tex layer,
right?
Which sucks. I mean, it's good if you live in the Pacific Northwest, which I did, but it sucks if you live in San Diego. And apparently this would be perfect 4-season California weather. Like, I could, it's warm enough for me to wear into the, I'm going to use air quotes, colder months. And I'm pretty sure that with the other gear I have, like my heated jacket, my heated liner, I can probably take this to as cold as I really would want to ride anyway. But yeah, I think it's a really nice looking one. It's apparently cut really well for skinny guys like me. And then the pants too.
I've always liked Revit gear. I've just honestly never had a chance to try any of it on. The problem is that I never really have. Either there's no Revit dealers here, or when we've seen it at a show, they didn't have my size. They only had a couple pieces to display, so it kind of bugs me that I can't try it on.
Right. These pants look nice. The other thing that's interesting about the pants is they have the 3/4 and the little 8-inch zipper in the back.
Yeah, that's neat.
So they've got the zipper that goes all the way around,
yeah,
and then the other one. My only issue with the pants, I only see the hip pockets, and the hip pockets in my Legacy pants are terrible. They're useless. So I'm hoping that that these pockets are a little better, because the jacket doesn't look like it has much in the way of pockets either. And the pockets on my Legacy jacket were not good either. So
I noticed from your screen share that you got a different. That's you're running. You did tell me you're running Windows 10, right?
Yeah, this is Windows 10.
Is it stable now?
Other than
the subject to make it a
there have been a few issues. Like I haven't been using my laptop for much, so
right.
But just general use, like I haven't had any problems. Like we're doing this just fine. The only issue we had last time we recorded was I chose that day to wipe my computer because I had a virus of some sort. So I had wiped my computer.
It was so funny that you said that, because I was listening to like 3 other unrelated podcasts the other day, and each one of the guys were like, "Hey, we're really sorry about last week, but we upgraded one of our computers to Windows 10 and everything crashed. Nothing worked on it. I had to relink everything and return on all these settings." So you probably weren't the only guy that had that problem.
Yeah, to me, it's a really minor thing, but the only issue I've had so far is that the touchpad on my computer no longer, I can't scroll with it anymore. It doesn't, and I've looked for drivers and whatnot, and I haven't really looked into it a whole lot, but I have attempted to get it to work, because it had a little thing where you drag your finger along the right side and it would scroll your page up and down. It doesn't do that now. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm long overdue for a computer upgrade, but it's going to be another Mac. This MacBook I'm working on now is a 2008 edition, and like an early 2000.
Yeah.
There's going to be an iMac in my future once I get a I was telling you earlier, one of our dogs had to have ear surgery done yesterday or this week, so that was like a big expensive cash layout. But I'm gonna be upgrading the computer soon because I like stuff like you're doing, like the screen share and stuff. Mine just doesn't have enough processing power while running Google Hangouts, and to be able to do that, it'll crash or just hang really bad. The video drivers just aren't up to snuff for that.
Right.
So that'll be.
During the move out of my house, like I had this big desktop computer, big mixer, and all that sort of stuff, and dual monitors, and it's an adjustment now to be using my laptop as much as I am, which really isn't that much. I mean, I used to play a lot of video games, and I haven't been playing a lot of video games, so honestly, I haven't really.
Yeah, I'm not a gamer.
But I have been thinking about, like, because my desktop computer is pretty powerful, and I've been thinking about either parting it out or just selling the whole thing and selling this laptop and buying a newer, more powerful laptop that can kind of do everything that I would want to do.
Right. I mean, you find yourself that you'd use the laptop more for travel too?
I think so, yeah, because this one, I want a smaller laptop, to be honest. This one is a 15.6, and it's just a little bit big. I'd be really happy, I think, with a 13-inch laptop.
It's funny because Christy called me the other day. She's getting ready to make this big month-long trip, like close to 8,000 miles.
Yeah, I was just listening to Motorific today.
Yeah, and we were talking about recording equipment for the road and different mics and digital recorders, and she was deciding on whether or not she was going to get a tablet of some type or like a Mac Air or something like that. So I got to call her to find out what she ended up doing. She was like messing around. I sent her some mic options and stuff, and I'm just trying to get.
She mentioned the
USB, like Nessies and the Blues, whatever she was using.
Mm-hmm. She mentioned a Windows Microsoft Surface Pro 3 on the show, and man, I've been really honestly like eyeing one of those. I don't think I'll get one.
I don't really know. I don't know a whole lot about. I use PCs at work, but I don't touch any of it. IT takes care of all that, and it was funny because there's some software that I use at work that's predictive analysis software, but it's really got to run on a pretty fast machine. And when they upgraded the last version of it, I put a request in to upgrade my monitors to dual 27s and have my my machine upgraded. And what they ended up doing, just to make it simple, because they've got a contract with Dell, so everything where I work is all Dell stuff. But they spun up a virtual machine on one of the servers, which was really powerful. So now I've got this like killer powerful machine running virtually off of a server that, there's two of us that use that software. So, and it won't run on a network. So instead of having to go and run it and load it independently on both of our machines, we just have it on this virtual machine, which works exactly like a standalone PC. It's not like a server environment, but it's kind of cool. So I don't really have to worry about it that much at work. I have like admin rights on my computer. I can install software because I run Audacity on my computer. We do some like training videos, and I have a system to record the screen, so I can go through like some mapping software while I'm explaining things and then record it. But other than that, I don't really have to mess around with it. So I never really got to know that much about what's out there in the Windows environment, because I'm not really shopping for things or worrying about it.
Right.
You mentioned that a couple times. I'm gonna check it out. I think I'm just so used to Macintosh and that operating system, and I know it really well. I know how to fix it if something happens. So
sure. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like one of the funny things. Like I've always been like the family tech support guy, for my parents, for significant others or whatever. And my parents just got iPhones, and I have an HTC One M8. So I told when I got a text from my dad, he's like, "We just got iPhones." I'm like, "Cool. If you have any problems, I don't know how to fix them." And then me and Jess are hanging out all the time. She has an iPhone, she has a Mac computer, and she'll like ask me something, and because she's super like savvy. Like she doesn't need help,
Right. Unlike
really.
my wife, the Luddite, who shuns technology,
So, but Jess and I will talk about it, and she'll say something, and I'm just like, I have no idea how to even approach that problem for you. So
slowly but surely,
luck.
House into something vintage. Like I think the washing machine was going the other day, and there's like a bucket out there with a rock. So
there's a crank style like washing machine and a washboard.
She has this appreciation for vintage. She loves vintage stuff, and like she's got this vintage camper now that we found, and she just likes that. She's really digs that whole vintage look thing. Where I'm more of modern technology, and I was watching some stuff on TED Talks the other day about 3D printing human organs. So that's the kind of stuff I like. But getting back to motorcycles, did we talk about EBR at all on the last show? I don't remember. Did we discuss the purchase of EBR?
No.
Okay, so this is news. It's been out. I posted something on the webpage about it, but so EBR was purchased. Did I tell you that? Did you know that? You should know that by now, right?
Right.
EBR was purchased, and I did a little research into how the purchase worked on there. So they had, from what I understand, they had an auction, and they had 13 people register, I believe, or entities register for the auction. Only 2 actually showed up to tour the facility, and then there were no bids placed during the auction. The minimum bid, from what I understand, was $2.5 million. And that was for, whatever intellectual property that they were letting go that was related to EBR, whatever inventory and whatever equipment and tooling was there. There was, from what I understand, Eric Buell sold the intellectual property he was working on to Hero, back to Hero for them, was sold back to them. And that money went to pay off some of his existing debt. And these numbers that I'm using are not exact, but something like $5 million was made from the sale of the intellectual property to Hero. And then I think he owed like $21 million. But what the bid that they placed for EBR was a bid that's kind of placed in reserve. The idea behind it is if no one bids on this during the formal auction, here's what we're offering. From what I understand, it was $2.25 million, and they accepted it, and it's got to go to a judge for review. But I kind of like the company that bought it is a part of something called Belfer Group, which is owned by a guy named Bruce Belfer. I found him on LinkedIn, sent him an email just saying, hey, congratulations on the purchase. And, you got a lot of fans out there of the product. And I did read an interview that they had with him recently where he's planning on going ahead and expanding the line. And he pretty much said there's not going to be any cruisers in the line. He said America needs another cruiser manufacturer like they need a hole in the head. So it looks like his plan is to bring back the product, to get the dealers back into the fold. They specifically talked to him about racing, and he, to paraphrase him, it was something like the quickest way to kill a company is to engage in racing. So I think it looks like their racing program from a factory standpoint will not be around right now, but they're talking about maybe expanding the line. So that might be good news for the AX. I asked him if he wanted to come on the show. I haven't heard back from him yet. I'd love to have him on to talk about
sure
EBR in the future.
That'd be kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm still a fanboy, I still want it, an AX. If they come out with it, the bike I loved, but we'll see what happens. So that's on the horizon right now. I don't know. I have to look. See, I don't know if the sale was approved by the judge yet, but we'll find out. Hopefully.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Oh, one random tech. I talked about putting a
because your bandwidth just crashed on you for a second. What'd you say?
Oh. I was going to say something about another purchase.
Okay.
So a while ago, we talked about, like a few months ago, I put this big dent in the tank of my motorcycle.
Right.
And I ended up buying a new tank, another tank online, but it's silver and purple.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was like, well, I'll have to get it painted. And then I was kind of just like, for a little while thinking, screw it. I'll just live with the dent and, not worry about it. Well, a buddy of mine was like, hey, I've got a friend who does paint. It'll probably be super cheap. Like, he'll probably give you a really good deal to paint it. And I was like, all right, well, then I was thinking about the fact that there's really only 3 painted parts on the motorcycle. There's the seat cover, the cowl, the tank, and the front fender, and that's it. And so I was thinking, well, maybe I'll talk to him and get all 3 parts painted and have them, have a totally different color, like not do the stock factory colors, the blue and white. So I haven't decided what color scheme I want, but something else occurred to me. I was like, well, if I change the tank, I needed to change my seat, because my seat, where the seat hooks under the tank, broke a long time ago. And I modified the tank to fit into the seat. So went around online and I found another Triumph Thruxton seat online. So I've now got a second seat that will actually fit a tank that hasn't been modified.
So have you got the tank painted yet?
No, I've got kind of all the ducks in a row, and as soon as I figure out a color scheme, I'm going to call the guy and talk to him and get it painted. I don't know what yet, because I really want to get the seat covered in brown. Like I want to get there's an auto upholstery place right by where I live, and I want to get the seat done in brown leather.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just, so I want something that's going to look good with a brown seat.
The tank's aluminum, right?
Steel.
Steel. I'm just wondering about something shiny, or you don't like that.
You mean like just polish it, like bright polished?
Is there any other blue on the bike anywhere? The side covers are black, right?
Yeah, side covers are black. The tank is blue, and the front fender's blue.
The front fender's blue.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking about doing is getting the. What's that?
No, I was thinking to match the helmets, like going with some sort of a subdued color, but
that would be cool. It's funny if I did that. Like, say I went with like an olive green.
Mm-hmm.
The scrambler that I really want is the urban one, which is olive green, brown seat.
So, and I like that one too. I still wish they would kind of make the scrambler parts mix and match. To me, that would be the coolest thing. If you could buy all the parts from all the bikes and all the colors, and you could have you'd have a Lego bike. You can make what you want. It'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. I was actually looking at that. If you look on their accessories, if you go to the Scrambler Ducati website and you go to accessories, a lot of those pieces show up as accessories. So like the long fender kit, like the classic fenders kit shows up as an accessory.
As with optional colors or not?
I don't know. I couldn't.
I'll have to look into
the website isn't fully featured. Like when you click on it, it literally just pulls up a picture and a brief description. It doesn't tell you prices or anything.
That's how.
But there's like a couple of different saddlebag options. The high mud guard that's on the green one. That one, that mud guard kit shows up as an accessory. So I'm wondering if they are kind of doing that, where you can order the different pieces and put together your.
It makes sense to offer them in different colors, because it doesn't make any sense to offer them as an accessory on a bike you already have. Then it would be a replacement part,
Yeah.
So maybe they are. That would be really neat.
I know that the classic one, which is the one that has the long rear fender, I don't think they're painted. I think they're brushed aluminum, because the front fender and the rear fender are not the same color as the bike. I think they're just metal.
That's another thing I got to look into. There was actually one of those down at the dealership yesterday, so maybe somebody had traded one in. There was also the new Capo Nord Adventure as well, which was in a subdued green paint, which they've done the Stelvio in, which is a kind of neat bike as well. I read some reviews on that recently. Comes with cruise control standard, and I think the price is like around 18,000 with bags and engine guards and everything. I'm still, when it comes to a big bike, I'm still leaning towards maybe the KTM Super Adventure. I
saw one of those. They have them. The dealership I was talking about. I'll give them a quick shout out. They're a cool dealership. South Bay Motor in Chula Vista, California. If Chuck is listening, I know he's been there a bunch.
Say the name.
They're a South Bay Motorsports.
Okay, South Bay Motorsports in Chula Vista.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they're a kind of an everything dealer. Like they sell, I think, all 4 Japanese brands. Yeah, they do. They sell Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki. They sell Ducati, KTM, and Triumph.
Mm.
And when I say that, I mean like they have every bike. It's like it's kind of crazy. They have like every bike from every manufacturer that I just listed. I've never seen a dealership that has that much stuff.
Super Adventure's a limited release too, so I think dealers are only getting 1 or 2.
Yeah, they have one.
Yeah, I don't know if our dealer had one because I have a KTM dealer really close, which is another benefit. There's a guy literally, the next town up. So, I'm gonna keep my eye out for EBR. I'm not in a rush or anything. I'm still just how lazy I've been and how hot it's been, but the 10A is still apart in the garage. I haven't. A couple other people gave me some advice. I'm gonna do a neutral bypass to see if that's the issue, and then somebody also told me take the starter off and take the starter solenoid completely apart and clean it. That seems to be a big problem with those starters. So I'm going to work on that this weekend a little bit if it cools down. But I mean, it's literally 96 outside right now, so
it's pretty hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
I adjusted my chain, I lubed my chain, and I ordered new tires. So when
you have a weird size on that bike, right?
Yeah. So I'm actually in this kind of crap situation now. The rear tire, which really doesn't need to be replaced, but I'm changing tire brands in the front, so I'm going to go ahead and change the rear too because it's a completely different tire. I was using a 140 by like 140/80 in the rear Avon Azzaro, which is a sport touring tire that really wasn't giving me the best mileage, but good grip, and I liked the tire. Well, they don't make it anymore. And so I could get a new front tire if I like. My front tire needs to be replaced. It's worn funny, like it's worn unevenly, and I'm pretty sure it's not helping my wheel wobble issue. So I wanted to get a new tire and then get it balanced so that I've got a nice, no longer uneven tire that's balanced correctly. And hopefully that'll fix my wobble in the front. Not that it stopped me from riding, but it's still there. The rear tire, like I said, doesn't really need to be replaced, but since I know they don't make the rear anymore, I was looking at other options, and I remembered that Dunlop makes a 150 that's designed to go on my rim, my 3.5-inch wide rear rim. They make a 150, or they made a 150 in the GT501. And so I looked around for a GT501 front and rear. Turns out, doesn't look like they're making that one anymore either. But I found on eBay a bunch of brand new GT501 rears. And so I ordered a new front and rear of that tire. So I'm going to have, they're bias tires, they're not radial, but a bunch of the people in the Triumph forums say they're really good tires. Everybody's got their opinions, but I guess we'll see how they work. I know that it's more just an aesthetic choice, the slightly wider rear tire. But it's kind of something I've wanted for a while. It's a switch I've been thinking about making.
Right.
But in a couple thousand miles, in 5,000 miles or whatever it is, when I need a new rear tire, I don't know what I'm going to do because it doesn't look like they make the rear that I'm using now. They don't make the rear that I'm going to use.
Have you looked at Continental? Don't they make a rear for that?
So the two sizes that will definitely fit my wheel are 130/80 and 140/80. 130/80 is the stock size, and there's the Metzler tires that come on the bike are made in that size, and then several dual sport tires. And then in the 140, it's pretty much all dual sport tires too. There's a couple. If you want radial tires, if you don't mind bias ply tires, there are a couple more options: Pirelli Sport Demon and Avon Road Rider. But that's it. And I haven't heard very much. There's a lot of negative things said about the Road Riders. I don't remember what's been said about the Pirelli.
Right. Well,
so
I guess if you're limited, you're limited unless you kind of
Yeah.
Need some rear wheel conversions on those too.
I've been wishing that I bought a spoke wheeled Bonneville ever since I bought my first set of tires. Because the spoke wheeled Bonneville, I probably would have spent the exorbitant money to put a wider rear rim on by now, and then I'd be able to run like a 160 on the rear,
right,
and a 120 on the front, which there are tons of options there. Like I could get some really nice sport touring tires for that size.
Well, hope it works out. Mine, I checked my tire the other day, and it's starting to really square off nicely. So,
yeah,
thank you, Florida.
Yeah, my front tire just has a nice like left hand like flats, like it's like triangular now.
Right. Well, that being said, you got anything else? Because I think we've run a good hour now, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. I can't think of anything else. But I'll have more talk about my use of all the crap I just bought next time you do a show.
Send me all those links for that stuff, and I'll put it in the show notes when I get the show up.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm sure people would like to take a look at the stuff we've been talking about. The protective gear is interesting, especially when, we talked about this in the past, when you can't find a jacket that's especially a vintage or cafe look jacket, and you find something cool like an old bomber jacket and want to add armor, this is the way to go. So,
yeah.
And I know this company makes some armor that's kind of combined, right?
Yeah. So these are, designed for either elbows or knees. They make, shorts that have all of it in it, like little pants, basically like underwear that has the armor built in. They make shirts that are the same way. And a couple other companies do too. Like Dainese makes a full pair of pants that has their Pro Shape, the silicone armor. They make those that have, knee and hip pads built in. So,
all right, we'll put it all up. I'll have it all in the show notes. There's some. If you have any events, again, send them to me. Email me, Steve at caferacerpodcast.com, and we'll be glad to put them up on the page. I have been posting news on our Google page and on our webpage. So we're at www.caferacerpodcast.com. And anything we hear as far as the EBR purchase, we'll try to get that out as soon as we can, because I'm real interested in that. That's all I got, man.
Me too. Get out there and ride.
See you guys.